Hello people, and today I'm going to be ranking classic mobile games, and let's just say that this video is not necessarily very original. Jake Miller did a video just like this, two of them in fact, and let's say, to be fair, for the first video, I know the majority of games. The only ones I don't know is The Room, Doodle God, Fun Run, and then all the others I've heard of. Whilst in part two, a lot of these well, about half of these I've never heard of. I've heard of Hungry Shark Evolution, I guess, very faintly, but I don't really consider that. So, Skyburger, Shadow Fight 2, Trivia Crack, Office Jerk, Running Thread, Vector, Dragon Veil, actually I've never heard that, Beat the Boss, Mega Jump, Pocket God, The Bellcats, Ninja Fishing, and yeah. But let's ignore that. I'm here to do my own list. And I've done a list. I've created a tier list, and let's just say I've got quite a bit more apps, games that just weren't on there for some reason that deserve to be on there, I think. Feel free to disagree. And of course, my whole point is to tell you my opinions. Okay, first off, starting with 2048. It's a fun game. It gets a bit repetitive. I mean, there are like variations, adding more tiles. So I'll give it a D tier. Okay? AA. Quite a simple game once again. It doesn't do much wrong, but it does get a bit repetitive, but it's sort of addictive at the same time, so I'm also going to give it a D, okay? Angry Birds, a game that I've not really played that much, but it's alright. I'm going to give it a D. Nah, I'm going to give it an A. It just doesn't excite me. Asphalt 8. It's a racing game. It's got some decent maps. But I'm going to say it's mostly ruined by its in-app purchases. So I'm going to give it a B. Okay? Next up, Bad Piggies. A game that I've got a lot more experience compared to Angry Birds. I played it a lot more. I'm going to give it... I'll give it a C. I think that's fair. Next up, Bike Race. It's a fun little game. It's kind of addictive. It's quite simple, but it's got multiplayer. I'll give it a C, okay? Bridge Constructor. It's a bit simple once again, but I mean, sort of some of the points of these games is that it's supposed to be simple. But there's progress as you go on. More stuff happens, so I'll give it a higher D, okay? A higher D. Google, whatever. The controls, it's a bit awkward trying to throw them up in the air, which is sort of what ruins it. It's quite a basic game, but it's quite a fun game. I'll give it a D, okay? Next up, Clash of Clans, a game that I haven't really played that much. But if I recall, it had a bit of in-app purchases. I do like the graphics. I'll give it a C, okay? Next up, Crazy Taxi. Not originally a mobile game, but I'm going to count it as one because I associate it. I mean, not gonna lie, I've not really played Crazy Taxi that much, but the controls I think were a bit awkward because I don't think it had tilt controls. Maybe it does on newer versions, it probably does. But it's an alright game, I'll give it a D again. Crossy Road, A very simple game. It's probably like maybe the newest game of these as well. I'm gonna give it. Ooh, what do I give it? It's quite simple. It's not really any in-app purchases apart from like skins and stuff, but it doesn't affect the game, which is makes it a lot better than like Asphalt 8. But at the end of the day, it's a very simple game. I'll give it a B, okay? A B. Next up, CSR Racing, plagued with the same sort of problem. This is, more of a later game. Of in-app purchases. It's an alright game. I'll give it a C. But really, considering the most recent, or well, one of the most recent is Crossy Road, and it doesn't really have harmful in-app purchases, I guess would be the way to describe it. And it's very recent compared to some of these. That's what makes it quite good as well, and it's a fun game. But yeah, CSR Racing plagued with in-app purchases. It's not as fun because it's just a drag racing. Okay. Now next up, you've got Cut the Rope with quite a cute character of Omnom. Just feed the candy to Omnom. Quite a simple game, quite fun, graphically, quite a nice game. It looks nice, so I'm gonna give it a C. You know. Next up, Piano Tiles. Don't count the white tile, whatever. It's definitely fun. It's got some game modes in it. Which makes it sort of stand out compared to like AA or 2048. Well, to be fair, there are maybe 2048 should be a bit higher because there are a lot of like things. Well, mostly just more tiles, and I die. But yeah, Piano Tiles. It's got some game modes, and that's what makes me rank it higher. Next up, Doodle Jump. Quite a simple idea, but it's executed quite well with like the monsters, the black holes, the jetpacks, the spring boots, the what else? Just springs, the disappearing thing, platforms, fading platforms, whatever. Which makes it quite a fun game. I'm not necessarily a fan of tilt controls, but I'm just going to give it a C. Okay? It's quite a good game. The fact that Asphalt 8 is sort of the highest game on here so far is quite sad. But don't worry, there definitely are probably at least 3 games, maybe 4, that are definitely higher. Okay? Maybe 5. I don't know. Dumb Ways to Die, I think it's quite a basic game, but it's sort of fun. It's sort of like a WarioWare, but for mobile. I'll give it a higher D. Okay. Next up, Earn to Die. I think the main problem's the replayability. It's a bit old. Graphically, I think it's a decent game. I'm gonna give it a low C. Next up, Feed Me All. It's an alright game. It's sort of similar to another game on here. But you have like cool little things to redirect the oil. I think the art style is quite sort of unique. Yeah, you can get like fans that blow the oil. You got like the twisty thing. So I'm gonna give it a B. Next up, Flappy Bird. The iconic game, but I think it's incredibly overrated I don't think it's necessarily a bad game. I have, played it. It is definitely got a bit of an addictive thing, but there's like no variation. It's all the same. It's no like power ups, nothing like that. And that's why I'm giving it an F. Not a bad game necessarily. It's just not the greatest. Next up is Flow 3, a very simple puzzle game. I think it deserves a low D. Or should I give it an E? Okay, I'm gonna give it an E actually. And yeah. Next up, Fruit Ninja. It's a bit repetitive, but it's kind of fun. It is a bit annoying, having the bombs, immediately kill you. But there's different game modes, like power ups and whatever. So I'm gonna give it a D, a high D. Geometry Dash, just an amazing game with a map builder. Easy S, easy S. Okay, just perfect. Next up, GT Racing. Made by Gameloft, same developers, as you can see by the little icon in the bottom right. Came, quite a bit before Asphalt 8, 3 years before Asphalt 8, in fact. Not really much. Well, okay. I think the main thing that I do like about it is you're able to just sort of select whatever map and whatever car and whatever. Which definitely makes it stand out as like pretty much no other racing game I've seen on mobile platforms at the very least does that, and I don't know why. It's just a basic thing, and they end up making you unlock it, and it's just ridiculous. And it's quite sad that that's sort of what Asphalt 8 turned into. Now the graphics aren't good, um, but you got like vehicle customization. Though to be fair, there's a game on here that's also a racing game that also has better vehicle customization. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Maybe I should do that, okay? Happy? Next is Hill Climb Racing. It's quite classic, quite fun. There's upgrades you unlock. Sometimes it's a bit annoying to get stuck. It's kind of similar to Earn to Die if you think about it. But I guess there's less upgrades. It, I guess in a way it's sort of Earn to Die, but worse. Because there's less going on, which makes me want to push that up a bit. Okay? It is a fun game, I'll tell you that. Plus, there's a lot more maps and vehicles, I believe. Definitely vehicles. I think there's more maps. Next up is iSlash. I remember playing this back in the day of like 2013, 2012. Definitely fun. It is, annoying when you're right near the end and then you accidentally slice one of the thingies. Don't know what it's actually supposed to be. And they like ninja stars. I guess that's what it is. I'll give it a low C, maybe. Nah, I'll just say that. Jetpack Joyride. They both same developers of Fruit Ninja, Half Brick. It's quite sort of like obstacles. You go up and down, up and down. I've not really played it that much, I'll admit it. Maybe if I played it more, I'd enjoy it. It does sort of look like a fun game. I'm giving it a mid D. Well, a lower end of the D. Little Alchemy. Quite basic. A bit boring. You just combine elements. It gets a bit old. When you're stuck, you're stuck. I'm gonna give it an E. Minion Rush. Definitely not necessarily what I call an original game, as it's sort of pretty much like one of the other games, but reskinned. I'm gonna give it a D. Maybe a higher D, because it is quite a bit. I'll admit I haven't played it in a while. Next up is Pixel Gun 3D. Quite a fun game. I will criticise newer versions for making you unlock stuff, and it's sort of ruined by in-app purchases. I'll give it a B, okay? A B. Next up is Plague Inc., a game that I didn't really think was a classic game, but I mean, it definitely is, because it's like older than probably quite a few of these. I didn't really realise it, but yeah. I'm gonna give it. You're just basically like a disease and you got spread to the world. There's stuff going on. I'll give it a higher D. High D. Next up, Plants vs Zombies, quite a classic game. I mean, that's the whole point of this. But like the classics, I'd say. I'll give it a low C, okay? Maybe actually a bit higher. Like that. Next up, Pro Racing. There's definitely vehicle customization, but in-app purchases, I feel like it's a bit dull, which makes me give it a high C, okay? No offense, it's just a high C. Falling Sky, this is definitely probably maybe the newest one out of these. I'm gonna give it. It's quite a simple game. That's sort of where the simple graphics trend started to happen, and what came after of the games filled with ads and in-app purchases. So I'm gonna give it maybe more of a mid D. Smash Hit, great game. The graphics look good. Runs on everything, but I guess that's not the point. These are classic games, and pretty much any of them can run on whatever. But it's a great game, and I'm gonna give it an A. Okay? Next up, Stack. A game that's quite repetitive, but addictive. It's an easy high C, okay? Subway Surfers, game that I'd say Minion Rush very much copied. Quite a fun game. I'll give it a low C. Tap the Frog, quite a fun game. I'll give it a B. I'll put it above Asphalt 8. Next up, I've got Temple Run and Temple Run 2 as separate. I really don't like the graphics of the original Temple Run. The water just looks weird. I don't like the sort of dark colours. So, it's a fun game. But yeah. At the end of the day, Temple Run 2 reskins it into a much nicer package, adds more elements to it, evolves it, A tier. Maybe I should really at least give Temple Run a D, but I'm not necessarily a fan of the graphics. Okay, Blockheads. God, this is tricky. And I know I'm gonna disagree with whatever in half an hour, so fun game. It's sort of like Terraria, but a lot more simple and easy to understand, which is what I like about it. It's definitely high up, I'll tell you that. Okay, I'll put in A. But I'm gonna say I did make a little bit of a mistake. I'm gonna put GT Racing as a B. I think it's been too generous. But to be fair, it being really customizable is one thing that all the other racing games lack, and I don't know why. Next up, for another game that I've really not played that much, Tiny Wings. It's alright. It's sort of satisfying to look at. Give it a D. Okay. Next up, Tiny Tower. This game's quite old. Like, older than you think, sort of thing. It's got in-app purchases. It's a bit dodgy, I'm gonna say, with the in-app purchases. And the fact that it's sort of an idle game sort of really makes it a bit boring. D tier. Next up, Traffic Racer. It's quite addictive. Yeah, I'm just good. And there's a couple game modes. I'll give it a C. Low C. I'll give bump up Subway Surfers a bit. But I really don't think Subway Surfers is particularly that great. Next is Unblock Me. It's quite a simple game. A very simple game. Really not much happens. It's sort of similar to Slave 3 in a way. It's not much it does wrong, but not much it does good. Next up, Where's My Water, which is quite similar to Feed Me All. It's quite memorable. I'm gonna give it a C. Blocks World. It focused a bit too much on playing other worlds. I don't think they ever added a multiplayer, which I think would have been quite cool. It's sort of like a Roblox. So I'm gonna put it above Asphalt 8. It does get beat. I die maybe because you're limited on parts to make you go for the in-app purchases, bumps it down to a C. But the second to last, is World of Goo. It's sort of like Bridge Constructor, but it's quite a pleasant art style, so I'm gonna put in a low C. And the easiest S tier ever invented is there. Any more adjustments? Maybe I'll put... No, I'm going to say no because of the crafting taking up time and it's sort of a bit of an idle game. But the in-app purchases are less in your face than I'd say Tiny Tower is. Yeah. Let's just say this might be my final list. So you know what? I think that's going to be it for today. Goodbye, people. Bye.